Hi everyone, my name is Ben Fung, and amongst other things, I'm a physical therapist in Southern California. What I'm doing here today is I'm expanding to my usual blog at drbenfung.org and decided that there's a lot more conversations that we can have just more face to face. And so today, I wanted to talk about something very special. There's been a lot of talk on Twitter and other social media outlets on healthcare, how we can make it sustainable, and more importantly, what's wrong with it. And I wanted to just do this first vlog on healthcare, the mechanic's dilemma, and how it relates to something called the tragedy of the commons. Now, I think everybody in North America, definitely America at large, we know what the mechanic's dilemma is. We have a car, we maintain it by ourselves as best as we can, and when it breaks or it needs some type of maintenance that's beyond our skill set and knowledge, we take it to the mechanics. And the mechanics can do one of several things. They can obviously refuse to see us and take our car, which they won't do. They can do whatever patchwork is required, but not really think about the long-term health of the car, or they can consider the long-term health of the car and treat that car as if it were their own. And that's the same problem that we have in healthcare, is that regardless of provider, physician, therapist, nurse, etc., they can do the same thing. They can treat you just for then and there and get paid for it, or they can consider the lifetime of your health, the long-term outcomes of your body. But if we're getting too good as providers of taking care of your health, then we don't get paid, because right now healthcare is paid by the service. Whatever I do, I bill for it and I get money for it later. But it'd be a lot more interesting if we were paid for the long-term results of your health, not just bits by bits, but say the last 10 years. How healthy have you been? Next 20 years, how healthy will you be? And if we were paid that way, that would take away that mechanic's dilemma of, well, if I do too much now, I won't have any business later. Versus, if I do everything I can now, then your health will be better for the long run, and everyone will be happier. Not convinced? Well, let me tell you about the tragedy of the commons. The tragedy of the commons is a common analogy, it's almost a fable really, about economics, population control, resource utilization really. And it's very much the case for healthcare. It goes something like this. If you had a common land, and you had a farmer here and a farmer here, and they realize, hey, I can graze freely because it's common land, and so I'll get a cow for farmer A, a cow for farmer B, and they'll graze and they'll have milk production and they'll sell the milk and have a living. Well, eventually farmer A goes, hey, I should graze the commons with 2 cows, and the other guy's going to do the same thing, and so on and so forth until there's so many cows that there's no grass left on the commons. Not only is there no grass left on the commons for that year, there's successively less grass available and less resources overall for the earth to replenish itself, for meaningful production of crops and milk and anything else for the following years after that. That's the tragedy of the commons, and that's the problem with healthcare now. Right now there are commons in healthcare. We call it tax, insurance premiums, whatever, but we all contribute a bit of the US economy to this land of commons for healthcare. But the problem is, we're using too many milk producers, we're using too many cows. And with too many cows, we're not allowing for the resources of the land to replenish itself. And we're just thinking about how many bottles of milk I can sell versus how good those bottles of milk will be for the consumers and for this limited amount of resources that we have. You see, if the tragedy of the commons was approached in healthcare away from the mechanic's dilemma of just treating bit by bit, getting paid piece by piece, hoping nothing bad happens. Instead of doing that, if everyone cultivated from a long-term results perspective, we would respect the resources that we have. We would respect each other's resources, each other's times, and both providers, patients, and even third-party companies, insurers, will realize, hey, look, we need to come together and think about the long-term health of the society at large that it's trying to support. The U.S. economy has a disproportionate amount of economic strain just on healthcare, and we can't sustain this. For healthy economies, we need to do more than just take care of our own health. If we could turn health back into something more of a social value than a social burden, then we have something. And I think it starts here. I think it starts here by recognizing there is the tragedy of the commons and we're watching it unfold right now. And the only way to solve it is to step away from the mechanic's dilemma and in concert, all of us, come together and consider what is the best long-term results we want in our lives. And when we meld that with healthcare, now we have a healthy nation. And that's something to think about. So this is my first vlog. It's a little amateur, I'm sorry. But I hope the message is interesting. I'll be talking about other things, some more student-oriented and mentor-oriented things that I usually talk about, and maybe some more entertaining things. But I felt this was a good start. So, I'm Dr. Ben Fung, and welcome to my vlog.